Hi everybody, I'm John Holden from Land Designs Unlimited here in Newtown, Connecticut. And today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about pruning shrubs. Now what you see behind me is a hedge of Steed's Japanese holly that our company planted about 5 or 6 years ago. Now if you take a look at this hedge, you'll notice that it's got a very nice loose feel to it. It doesn't have a very formal look. It's got a nice pyramidal shape to it. So what I'd like to do today is just show you a little bit about how we go about doing that. Now the first thing I want to say is what we're going to do today is talk about how to use the pruning shears for pruning, as opposed to using something like your head shears, like these guys here, or even your gas hedge clippers, like we've got right over here. I don't know if you can see that. Now what can happen is when you use hedge clippers or head shears to prune, you end up cutting all the tips of the shoots right at the end. And by cutting the tips, you encourage more growth to come from the end. So as time goes by, what's going to happen is you're going to have all your growth at the outside of the plant. When you look into the plant, it's going to be nothing but dense growth on the inside. You're going to have like spider webs in there. It's going to look very nasty. Now because for the past 5 years we've pruned these shrubs to allow some light to come inside, you can see it's got a very nice tiered feel to it. And these shrubs, I mean, even if I cut off a substantial amount of foliage, they would still hold their character and look very nice. So by using our pruning shears to prune our shrubs, what we're going to do to prune our shrubs in a tiered fashion is we're going to let more light, more air into the shrubs. Our shrubs are going to have a much looser feeling to them, and overall they're just going to look more appealing as well, because quite often I'll see people who try to prune those shrubs just perfectly with that hedge clipper, but unless you're using a string you're going to have little ins and outs. So by using your pruners, it's going to be you're a little more forgiving as well. So I'll be honest, for about the past 5 years, I have not used a pair of head shears or hedge trimmers to prune shrubs. All I've used is my Felcos, and you can see the end results behind me here. So I really do hope you'll give this a try. Now, what you do when you're using your hedge clippers is you want to try to prune both on the outside of the shrub and also on the inside. You want to reach all the way in to the growth by the stem. And it takes a little bit of trial and error, and I'll admit I made some mistakes beginning, but the key is just take a little bit at a time. So what you want to do here is, I'm looking at this shrub, is first off I see a dead branch here, so why don't we go ahead and prune that. And then if you take a look, you might see that this one branch is growing up very far. Now rather than just cut it back to right where the growth another growth of the bush, what we're going to do is cut this back a little bit farther until we get a point where it touches another branch, and then we cut just beyond that with a nice pair of sharp pruners. And then here's another branch that's coming out a little bit, so maybe this one we will cut even with the new foliage. Now here's another branch that's grown up a bit, so I'll open that up, and if you take a look in, I'm going to cut this back even with the old growth deeper in the shrub. And then every once in a while what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach way in the shrub and I'm just going to thin it out a little bit. You see the top here, I've got a branch growing this way. There's two branches very close together. So I'll select the healthier branch, or the branch that's growing in the right direction, and I'll simply prune that out a little bit to open things up. And you can do this type of pruning pretty much with any evergreen shrub that is grown more for foliage than flower. I'll do another video on flowering shrubs. But anything like Japanese holly that we've got here, Ilex glabra, the Inkberry Holly, you could use this style of pruning with any boxwoods. Those are all different shrubs that you could use this method of pruning. And if as I'm pruning, if you'll notice, what I'm trying to do is just give this shrub a nice pyramidal habit. It depends on the shrub, but just please watch my shears, because as I'm pruning, I am not pruning simply right at the plane of growth. I'm kind of coming in and out, and every once in a while, I'll reach really deep in there. See that? Now you can't even tell I pruned that, but I'll reach really deep in and thin things out a bit. Now if you thin it out and you can see like right through the shrub, maybe you went a little too far. Now we're just going to keep pruning and opening the shrub up, and it's going to have a nice loose feel to it, and it's also going to grow much better. Now I'd also like you to keep in mind that this shrub has not been pruned with hedge clippers in many years, so it's already pretty open. And you'll notice that after you do this the first time or two, even with a shrub that you've used hedge clippers on, it's actually a much quicker process to prune. So let me just move the camera and I'm going to just prune a little bit. You can kind of watch what I'm doing, and hopefully that'll help you on your new experience of using just regular pruners to prune a formal hedge. Whenever you're pruning, don't be afraid to just take a little bit at a time. There's no rule written that you have to do the whole shrub at once. As I'm going along, you may notice I'll work down the hedge a few feet, and then I'll come back and maybe nip off a little bit. I'd rather take off a little too little than to have to wait another year or 2 years for it to grow back. However, heaven forbid, if something does happen, you make a mistake, don't worry, because it will grow back, I promise you. So please, go easy on yourself. Just enjoy being out, pruning, being out on this beautiful day. Because it's really, gardening isn't about perfection, it's just about being outside and having a good time. Just very patiently moving up and down the shrub, taking a little bit more off, looking back, seeing how it looks, maybe a little bit more here. As we go down the row, I'll start to even the tops off a bit. I'm trying to get a pretty uniform look to this side. I know there was a bit of a bulge over here I'm trying to prune out. Just little by little, we'll keep working on it. There's no rush. Okay, now we're getting pretty close to being done, and I think you'll notice that the shrub's looking a little bit more even, but yet at the same token it's not like a perfect line. There's a good, I would say, 6 inches between where the branches start being cut on the outside and where they finish. And many of them are cut even deeper inside. But overall, this is about what you're going for. I'm going to probably stop the camera for a couple minutes here, and I'll just clean it off, and then I'll give you one more shot of what the finished product looks like. Now here's a video of the Steed's Japanese holly after it was pruned. We'll just kind of walk down the shrubs a little bit. You can see it's doing a wonderful job of screening. There actually is an air conditioner back there that we're trying to hide. Doing a wonderful job of screening and looking very natural. Let me just pick you up and I'll move you one more time to the other side here. And then here we go. Here is a view from another angle looking at the Steed's Japanese holly that we have pruned very openly using pruning shears. Now that's about as much as I could do with this hedge without going too far. Now what I'll probably end up doing, it's early June right now, in about another month or so, these shrubs will have already flushed their new growth. So I'll come back again and prune it one more time, and then I may even come back one more time, probably around September, and just nip off a little bit more. The key is we're not trying to make everything perfect sheared. We're just looking to nip off a little bit at a time to keep this shrub with a nice natural look, a nice open look to it. It's much healthier. Thanks for watching the video today. I'm John Holden from Land Designs Unlimited. Please visit my website at landdesigns.com